Yeah, it leaves us knowing just as little as we did when we got in here.
Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Welcome to the channel if this is your first time. Okay, this could be a divisive video, and I am bouncing off a fantastic channel called Sci-fi Finds, and Jack from Sci-fi Finds will be a guest soon on Is This Thing On? Can't wait to chat to him in person. Really good channel, but his subs have been climbing like crazy recently, so I think people are noticing how good his channel is. And he is obviously strictly science fiction. And I've always championed science fiction on my channel. That's my first love as far as reading goes. But I don't just talk about science fiction on the channel. But I absolutely love it. And I was kind of triggered by the video a little bit. And it made me want to do this video. And I've wanted to do this video for a while, to be fair. But something he said made me think, okay, let's just do it. And the reason why I've delayed doing this video in the past is because I don't think what I'm about to say is the general view of science fiction booktubers, and I feel like I'll get a lot of pushback on it. But it's something that I really do, honestly. Well, to be fair, it's going to be my own experience with science fiction and with classic science fiction, and I want to talk about that for a bit and why I do not necessarily expect greatness in classics anymore. I'm hoping for it. I'm always expecting great ideas, but I'm not expecting great books. So you might be getting a sense of where I'm going to be leaning to in this video. But I'll just quickly mention why I was bouncing off Jack's video. So he did a video about 5 tips on enjoying science fiction more. And one of the big tips, and it kind of ran through, it was a bit of a consistent point about giving older authors a chance, reading older authors, looking for older authors, looking for the vintage stuff, and don't rely on new stuff. So my first thought was I've read so many really good books that have been released recently, and I expect good books. When I read the back of a new book that's only just been written and the story looks really good, I expect the writing to be good as well and to draw me in, and I expect to have a good experience. And I'm not normally disappointed, to be fair. I'm more often disappointed by classics. So I want to talk about that. And it's not because I can't handle like a slower pace or an older stylistic convention in how things are described in older books and those kind of things. It's not about that. Because what you'll see is when I start doing one little part of this video that I've written down, when I do some comparisons, that there are some books I really like that are quite densely written or very descriptive or slow or that kind of thing. Yeah, so it's not necessarily about that, but I do have a variety of different experiences with the classics. So let me just talk about the word classic for a minute as well, because I'm talking about science fiction. Clearly, most science fiction has been written as the 20th century has been on its way, into the 30s, 40s, 50s, all that. So I will talk about the proto-science fiction, the stuff that happened before science fiction was coined as a phrase, but it's a much younger genre. So the phrase science fiction was coined in 1929. That's not that long ago. So because of that, that means that the golden age is obviously seen as classic, and there will be some classics within that period, so individual books that would be described as classic. But also, I think going into the 60s and 70s, you could justify that as well, because again, it's not that far removed from 1929 when the phrase was coined, and the 60s was 60 years ago. So things have moved on from there. So I personally think it makes sense that some of the new wave science fiction can be seen as classic as well. And just like Jack pointed out in his video, the SF Masterworks gives you a bit of a spotlight on things that are considered to be classic in the science fiction genre. Although there are some things being brought out all the time in that series that are quite new. So that does muddy the argument a little bit. But clearly, a classic book is something that's been well regarded, seen as timeless, and something that the publishers regard as something that should be read by generations further on, like generations after that author's died or whatever. So I will talk about some of these authors that existed before 1929, but I want to just talk about my relationship with older science fiction and the reason why, well, not the reason why, but certainly it's hopefully give you some perspective on why my top 10 science fiction books may have contained some new ones, some more recent ones. And it's not because of a lack of experience or reading, because I'm 53 years old and I've been reading science fiction all of my life. So I started very young and it's been my mainstay. It's been the one thing I've read consistently while I've been bringing in other things gradually, and had a big chunk of non-fiction when I did my degree and all that sort of stuff. But I've always read science fiction. So this is not out of ignorance. So if anyone's watching this that is going to be offended by something I've said about an author, it's because it's subjective. It's because I may not like the same books as you, and it's just one of those things. And like I don't, I'm going to be saying books that I don't particularly like that are regarded as classics, are regarded as important science fiction works. But it's subjective. It doesn't mean I'm wrong. It's just what I think. It's just how I reacted to that book. And it's not out of ignorance. I have read a lot of science fiction. So let's just talk about these early people first. Frankenstein, Mary Shelley, Frankenstein. I love that book. And I've read it twice, but I haven't read it for a while. So I am going to reread it. So I've got a video scheduled up. I keep moving, actually. But I have got, when I get a little less busy, you're going to see a video on my channel where I'm going to reread my daughter's 3 favourite books. It's a video I actually recorded about a year ago. And I just feel like I'm not at that place yet to reread those books. But one of them is Frankenstein. So the other 2 aren't even science fiction. But Frankenstein, I am going to reread. But I know I like it. And that's cool. Mary Shelley, awesome. So I like that book. Jules Verne. I'm going to talk about Jules Verne. Jules Verne, I've only read one book. And that was 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. And I enjoyed it. I thought it was good. Didn't blow me away. I didn't think it was amazing, but I enjoyed it. And it was nice that I enjoyed it. I wanted to enjoy it, so I was relieved. Because I thought, yeah, lovely. Nice experience. If I didn't like it, I would have been really disappointed, because there's something about his reputation and what he did for the genre that it would be, it would have been a shame. I would have thought it was a shame if I didn't like it. But I did like Jules Verne. H.G. Wells I've written down as another one of these founding fathers. I love H.G. Wells. So everything I've read by H.G. Wells I've really liked. He's my favourite out of all of these early proto-science fiction people. H.G. Wells, I've read 6 of his books, I think. And I'll just pick anything up. If I find it, I'll pick it up. And I've got a few that I haven't read yet. And I just think he's brilliant. And funnily enough, I really like The Invisible Man, but I've seen people, science fiction booktubers criticise The Invisible Man, say, oh, well, I tried it, didn't like it, which is not my experience. I really like it. Again, subjective. I don't think they're wrong. If they didn't like The Invisible Man, they didn't like The Invisible Man. I really liked it. But my favourite H.G. Wells book is The Island of Dr. Moreau. I love that book. So anyway, H.G. Wells, big plus for me. Okay, a couple of negatives. Edgar Allan Poe. I've tried, and I have had one case, which I read for last year's Horror Mayhem, that I enjoyed an Edgar Allan Poe story, but I don't like the way he writes. I find it really, it's just the way, just his use of language, just not a keen Edgar Allan Poe fan. So that is probably going to turn some people off, because I know that he's universally praised on BookTube, but I just find him difficult. I'm not going to stop reading him, and I know how important he is as far as what he brought to the horror and science fiction genre, but yeah, just don't enjoy reading him. And that's also true for H.P. Lovecraft. So obviously H.P. Lovecraft is a giant in speculative fiction, but yeah, I just find him really hard to read. I don't enjoy it, and it's just one of those things. Again, subjective. Not had a lot of success with him. So those 6 people I've just mentioned in the kind of, if you like, the proto-science fiction period, 4 of them I really did like, 2 of them I didn't like. I've also mentioned here, I've just written down Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, Robert Louis Stevenson. I didn't enjoy reading that. I really wanted to, I was like, I've got to read this, and I was so excited to read it. And I don't know, about 30 pages in, I was thinking, oh, God, should I finish this? Of course I should finish it. Okay, right, great. And I love the idea in it, but again, I strongly don't think that ideas make a great book by itself. I think the pleasure of reading it has to be a part of the experience, not just the pleasure of someone could tell you the great idea and you go, that's awesome. But the experience of reading it should be a pleasurable one. Call me crazy. Yeah, it was a shame because I really wanted to like that. So moving on from the proto-science fiction period into the golden age period, the big three is a term that was given to three major science fiction writers at the time: Arthur C. Clarke, Isaac Asimov, arguably the most prolific author, Isaac Asimov, and Robert E. Heinlein. Okay, so Isaac Asimov, I haven't read for a while, but when I was younger, I read some things by him, and actually I really can't remember everything I read, but it was definitely a few short stories, and I read one of his novels, and I can't remember what it was. It was honestly 40 years ago. So I can't remember, but I do remember that all of it left me cold. I didn't enjoy any of it. I found all of it really difficult to read. So they didn't really invite me back in. And I am going to try again. I did a video of ages ago of my science fiction Hall of Shame. And I don't think I've read the iRobot stories. So I'm going to read that, give him another go. But I haven't had a good experience with him many, many years ago. Arthur C. Clarke, I really, really like Childhood's End. And from what I remember, again, I think I might have read something when I was really young. But that's definitely because I didn't read that long ago. And I really did like Childhood's End. And I'm probably going to like Arthur C. Clarke in general. And I haven't read anything by Heinlein. And I ought to, but I don't. Nothing's kind of inviting me. Everything I hear about him, I feel like is probably someone I won't like. So even though, as I said before, I have been reading science fiction all of my life, I've never read a Robert Heinlein book. And then one more, kind of in that period, arguably a little before that, Edgar Rice Burroughs. I like what I've read by Edgar Rice Burroughs. Some of it I've liked a lot, some of it I just enjoyed. So yeah, big thumbs up for Edgar Rice Burroughs. And I've been impressed also by how really subtly he seems to be ahead of his time as well, which is nice. But that's not a deal breaker for me. But I did like Edgar Rice Burroughs. So moving on to some comparisons with the SF Masterworks series. So I looked up some of the books I've read in the SF Masterworks series, and I've read a lot of them. I want to do some comparisons just to show you that for me it's become quite random whether or not I've liked it or not. So I really liked the Body Snatchers a lot, but I didn't like Of Men and Monsters by William Tenn. Didn't like that. I've struggled to get it finished, and I just didn't like the way it was written, and it was just really clumsy. I thought it was a bit messily written, I think. So I didn't like of Men and Monsters by William Tenn. I really liked Roadside Picnic a lot, and I've got other books by Strugatsky Brothers to read, but I really liked Roadside Picnic, and I didn't like Road Marks by Roger Zelazny. Great idea within the central part of the book, but I just thought it was really, again, sloppily written. It was just a mess, I thought. Didn't like that. If you know my channel, you know how much I love I Am Legend. Really love I Am Legend. But you also might know that me and Dave DNF'd The Female Man by Joanna Russ, which seems sacrilege. There we are. Again, it's subjective. It doesn't mean I'm an idiot. It just means I didn't like the female. I don't like the way she wrote it. I thought it was really bizarrely. Some of the decisions she made on how she was setting the text on the page, just odd, I thought. So yeah, she lost me a little bit. Female Man, great ideas within the book, there's no doubt about it. There's some certain passages that are really brilliantly written, but there we are. Didn't like it. Absolutely love the Forever War. Really love the Forever War. Joe Haldeman, brilliant book. Didn't like Limbo by Bernard Wolfe. Didn't like it. I just thought it was dull. Didn't like Limbo, but it's an SF masterwork. Again, subjective. Really liked Hyperion. I think that's a really impressive book. There's lots of reasons why I like it, but didn't like Ringworld, Larry Niven. So, two books regarded as classics. Dan Simmons' Hyperion, thought it was brilliant. And Larry Niven's Ringworld, didn't like it. Great idea behind it, but I didn't like the way it was written. And there was some real problems with it anyway, actually. I mean, I thought Ringworld was really bad. You can see how the classics, the things that Gollancz has regarded as a masterwork, a classic piece of science fiction, I've had varying degrees of success with it. Okay, so please attack me on the comments if you want, but again, it's just my opinion. But having said that, some of my all-time favourite books are in that series. So the two Alfred Bester books, the Stars of My Destination and the Demolished Man, two fantastic books. Can't tell you how much I love those books. Brilliant books. I'm keen to read more Alfred Bester, but I haven't done it yet, which is crazy. But those two books, I love those. Flowers for Algernon, right? That's now the book that I describe that as my favourite book. Flowers for Algernon. Love that book. And that's in the SF Masterworks series. Daniel Keyes. Everything I've read by Ursula K. Le Guin, I love it. And lots of her books are in the SF Masterworks series. So Ursula K. Le Guin stuff, love it. Absolutely love it. And like I said before, Childhood's End, which is a great book. And Arthur C. Clarke, so one of the big three. Love it. And also Connie Willis's book, The Doomsday Book. I think it's a brilliant book. It's very long. It's very slow. But I loved it. I love time travel. So, you've kind of already got me there. You sold me on something. But no, it's a really good book, Doomsday Book. I really like that. So Connie Willis gets a thumbs up as well. So going back to some negatives, I've tried 3 different books by Kurt Vonnegut and didn't like any of them. And it just seemed to be really random and sloppily flopped onto the page. But again, I haven't given up on him. I haven't read some of his most famous ones. So, and Greg told me that I'd read the wrong ones. Samuel Delany. Tried Samuel Delany when I was really young. Didn't like it. So whether or not I try him again, don't know. But I didn't like him when I read him when I was younger. James Titchery Jr. I read one of her short stories. Recently this is. I've only just jumped into her writing. Didn't like it. So James Titchery Jr. didn't get a good experience first time. Cordwainer Smith, I've got the Under People, I think it's called. That just seemed like some crazy fever dream that I don't understand why all these booktubers are going on about how amazing he is. Oh, if you haven't read Cordwainer Smith, then you haven't read science fiction. I really don't really get that. I understand if people just love pulpy nonsense, but I didn't see any depth to it. I don't know. Again, subjective, yeah? Attack me if you want, but it's just my opinion. So going back to the positives again. So some of my favourite authors I haven't mentioned yet that are in that series. There is at least The Chrysalids by John Wyndham. I love John Wyndham. So that's from this period. So that is a classic I like. Harlan Ellison, he's been a mainstay in my reading since I was a kid. Richard Matheson, obviously someone I celebrate a lot on the channel, and he's been a mainstay since I was a kid. Ray Bradbury. Oh, look, he's talked about Ray Bradbury again. I absolutely love Ray Bradbury. And Ray Bradbury is just a master of storytelling. So, I don't even know if he's in the series. I just wrote him down because it just seemed crazy not to mention him. But I don't know if anything is in the SF Masterworks series. If it was, because it's weird because he's so general in his speculative genre fiction kind of thing that sometimes his stuff's just horror and sometimes it's just fantasy. Anyway, Ray Bradbury, the man's genius. And like I said, the Ursula K. Le Guin stuff, there is loads of Gollancz SF Masterworks of Ursula K. Le Guin. So, it's a bit of a mixed bag for me, but I would say, though, that when someone blanketly says, ignore the new stuff on the shelves, just go for vintage science fiction, it just makes me think, I'm not sure if that's good advice. And also, when people say, you never find older books on the shelves, you only see new stuff. It does seem to be quite funny that a few years ago, N.K. Jemisin was complaining in the press about the fact that you only saw old books and you don't get any new books in. It's hard to squeeze all the new books in because of all the standards that are all out there filling the shelves. And I would say there's a mix. I think when I go into Waterstones, I see a mix of old and new, and I like the fact I see a mix. And you get these classics in the Masterworks series, and you get the new stuff just being written. And I think that's great. So you can definitely get these books. They are available, and like there's tons and tons of Philip K. Dick books in the SF Masterworks series. And again, I've had varying experiences with him as well. Some are better than others. but I've read about 5 Philip K. Dick books. So I don't know, waffling a little bit now, but I do think you can't just make a blanket statement about old is better than new, and you can't also on the other end say new is better than old. So this is my video rallying against generalizations. But whatever you do, stay curious.
Picture of what it's like to be